in terms of what he said, he specifically said, if it's not fair, as you're saying, you have to fight for the right of the country. And just this week, he said that he won Wisconsin falsely, Senator. So again, to the point, you voted to certify the election results of 2020. It's the exact opposite of what you said and did after 2020. Why would you want to be on a ticket with someone where there's such a fundamental difference?
There is clear facts here. President Trump himself said he expects this election to be fair, he expects it to be honest, and he expects to win. That's what the presidential candidate should expect, and I expect the exact same thing. And frankly, the American people agree with him. This is an issue that is not an issue, so I'm not going to make it an issue.
Well, Senator, will you commit to accepting the election results of 2024? Bottom line.
Well, at the end of the day, the 47th president of the United States will be President Donald Trump, and I'm excited to get back to low inflation, low unemployment.
Wait, Senator, yes or no? Yes or no? Will you accept the election results of 2024 no matter who wins?
That is my statement.
But is it just yes or no? Will you accept the election results of 2024?
I look forward to President Trump being the 47th president. Kristen, you can ask him multiple times. But
Senator, just a yes or no answer.
So the American people will make the decision.
But I don't hear you committing
for President Trump. That's clear.
I don't hear you committing to the election results.
Here's the challenge.
Will you commit to accepting the election results?
This is why so many Americans believe that NBC is an extension of the Democrat Party. At the end of the day, I've said what I've said, and I know that the American people, their voices will be heard, and I believe that President Trump will be our next president. It's that simple.
But, Senator, as you know, the hallmark of our democracy is that both candidates agree to a peaceful transfer of power. So I'm asking you, as a potential VP nominee, will you accept to commit to the election results in this election cycle, no matter who wins? Just simply yes or no.
I expect President Trump to win the next election. Listen, I'm not going to answer your hypothetical question when, in fact...
And there it is. Tim Scott, one of Trump's VP options, was asked 6 times if he would commit to accepting the election results, and 6 times he refused to answer. This is what the GOP has devolved into under Donald Trump. The Republican Party, a party that contends to stand for the Constitution, will now only accept the results of elections that it wins. This is what the death of democracy looks like. I'm not going to bury the lead here. If you want a democracy beyond this year, you have to do everything in your power to ensure that Donald Trump and whoever he chooses for his ticket, along with the rest of the Republican Party, be it in the House or the Senate or the state legislatures, do not win in November. What we are hearing here from Tim Scott isn't a game, it is a warning. And let's be clear, it comes from the top. This was Donald Trump himself only days ago.
Not only is Mr. Trump still lying about 2020, now he seems to be setting the stage to refuse to accept the results of the upcoming election if he loses, even though as of now he's favored to win. Mr. Trump telling the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, quote, "If everything's honest, I'll gladly accept the results. I don't change on that. If it's not, you have to fight for the right of the country." Now, we know what Donald Trump means by if it's honest. It means if he wins, and we know what it means when he says you have to fight for the right of the country, because he's used that term before. Very similar words to what he told his supporters on January 6, 2021, before they stormed the Capitol.
We fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
And many of his supporters listened, and they went to the Capitol, and they fought like hell. At least 1,400 of his supporters have been charged for crimes related to breaching the Capitol.
And look, we can pretend that this isn't serious or that they're bluffing, but the fact is that we've been here before. You might recall this moment when Brian Karem asked Trump if he would abide by the peaceful transfer of power.
Will you commit here today for a peaceful transfer of power after the election? And there has been rioting in Louisville, there's been rioting in many cities across this country, red and your so-called red and blue states. Will you commit to making sure that there is a peaceful transfer of power after the election?
Well, we're going to have to see what happens. You know that I've been complaining very strongly about the ballots, and the ballots are a disaster.
I understand that, but people are rioting. Do you commit to making sure that there's a peaceful transfer of power?
We want to get rid of the ballots, and we'll have a very peaceful. There won't be a transfer, frankly. There'll be a continuation. The ballots are out of control. You know it. And you know who knows it better than anybody else? The Democrats know it better than anybody else. Go ahead.
And of course, that was followed by Trump very much not allowing for the peaceful transfer of power, the first time in the history of this country that such a hallmark of our democracy wasn't respected. In fact, far from a peaceful transfer, the guy incited an insurrection wherein he tried to get his supporters to threaten his own vice president's life because they wanted him to anoint Donald Trump the winner of an election that he lost. All of which is to say, we have been here before. We cannot give these people the benefit of the doubt because we have the misfortune of already knowing what it means when they refuse to accept the election results when they lose. This is Tim Scott basically vowing to be a party to the next insurrection because that's what it takes to get in Donald Trump's good graces. And here's the thing, they will all eventually do this. Every vice presidential option will pull the same BS moves because this is the litmus test. Trump doesn't want to fail in 2024 where he failed with Mike Pence in 2020. And so he needs someone who will gladly discard our Constitution and our laws because he knows that that's his best chance of winning. Not campaigning, not setting forth a popular agenda, not promising his vision for the future, but by demanding that he won, irrespective of the actual votes. If you are wondering what autocracy looks like, this is it. While every Trump VP option will eventually vow to discard the Constitution in blind deference to the God King, Trump will only pick one, which means that all of these people will show their true colors for no reason at all. They will prove themselves shameless supplicants with zero integrity, enemies of this country and its Constitution, and they will get nothing in return. There is no floor in terms of the extent to which these people will debase themselves for Donald Trump. We watched as Ronna McDaniel literally dropped her last name for the guy. You could not find more pathetic people if you tried. And the saddest part is that they get nothing out of it. Look at what comes of these Trump acolytes. I just mentioned Ronna McDaniel. She was unceremoniously discarded as RNC chair when Trump blamed her for Republicans losing, when, let's be clear, her fault was deferring too much to him. Giuliani is now bankrupt with no law license. Jenna Ellis, Kenneth Chesbro, Sidney Powell, all indicted with their law licenses in imminent jeopardy. Trump has 17 co-defendants in Georgia who will either testify against him or likely go to prison. His legal team are national jokes. The candidates who espoused his agenda in 2022, Kari Lake, Don Bolduc, Doug Mastriano, Dr. Oz, Herschel Walker, all lost their races. It's one thing for these people to take a chance on Donald Trump not knowing who he is, but for all of these people to see who Trump is and what happens to those who hitch their wagons to his and yet still opt to align themselves with the guy, knowing the fate that awaits them, is just peak shamelessness. They will do quite literally anything to get even a whiff of power. So here's the deal. If Tim Scott is selected as Trump's VP pick, he may try to present himself as a moderate or as a nice guy. Refer back to this video right here. This is who Tim Scott is. He is nothing more than an enabler for a dangerous autocrat. He will help usher in the end of democracy in America. I don't give a shit if he seems like a happy-go-lucky dude. That means nothing to me. He has shown us all who he is on the only issue that matters. When the choice is democracy or Trump, he will choose Trump every single time. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to this channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.